US Congress has voted to commence an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. House Republicans say it will give them important new powers to investigate any connection to his son Hunter Biden's business dealings. And it means an impeachment vote against President Biden could take place early next year. Our Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen explains.
House Republicans say an impeachment inquiry will give them the power they need to get around White House stonewalling and access the information to prove once and for all whether Hunter Biden was selling access to his father, Joe Biden. The vote for an impeachment inquiry was initially launched by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, but today formally passed the House of Representatives 221 votes to 212. The vote landed along party lines, with Republicans currently in control of the House, but new Speaker Mike Johnson managed to bring over the last holdouts.
The House has now spoken, and I think pretty loudly, pretty clearly, with every single Republican voting in favor. So when a majority of the House goes on record in support of an official impeachment inquiry with the power that resides solely in the House of Representatives, this impeachment power, I think that sends a message.
Joe Biden now becomes the 8th US president to face an impeachment inquiry. It gives the House much stronger power to subpoena witnesses and evidence and hold more public hearings. Republicans say an impeachment inquiry doesn't necessarily signal an impeachment vote will happen, but that power is now in their hands. While the House could impeach the president, there's no practical effect beyond a public censure and rebuke from Congress. Only the Senate can vote to convict on an impeachment, which would force the president's removal from office. Because Democrats hold the tie-breaking vote in the Senate, that's all but impossible. In a statement to the inquiry being launched, the president responded, "I wake up every day focused on the issues facing the American people, real issues that impact their lives and the strength and security of our country and the world. Unfortunately, House Republicans are not joining me. Instead of doing anything to help make Americans' lives better, they're focused on attacking me with lies. Instead of doing their job on the urgent work that needs to be done, they're choosing to waste time on this baseless political stunt that even Republicans in Congress admit is not supported by facts."
The House Republicans who have been really pushing this impeachment without any evidence, without doing this political stunt. I mean, that's what they've been doing over and over again. And we have said it. Other Republicans have said it. There's no evidence here. There's none.
House Republicans have also threatened to hold the president's son Hunter Biden in contempt after he refused to attend a private deposition on Capitol Hill. He said he'll happily testify in public.
For 6 years, I have been the target of the unrelenting Trump attack machine, shouting, "Where's Hunter?" Well, here's my answer. I am here. Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist.
Did you see Hunter today, right? He went to the wrong place. He went to the Senate instead of the House. Everyone's saying, "Where's Hunter?" See, it always gets, "Where's Hunter?" What a two-tier system of justice we have.
Thousands of emails between Hunter Biden and his business associates have been probed by congressional Republicans already. While references to the big guy, among other apparent pseudonyms, could suggest he was selling access to his father, there's still no concrete evidence his father was aware of the suggestions or that any money changed hands inappropriately. These hearings will take place in the middle of the presidential primaries next year, but as we've seen with Donald Trump and his multiple legal cases, these kind of pursuits can actually help rally support around a candidate and may well help Joe Biden as he runs again for office. Annalise Nielsen, Sky News, Washington, D.C.
Well, let's get more on this now from Professor Simon Jackman, our resident expert on US politics. I guess that's the question. Does this become, Biden loses, I'm not going to say clean skin image, but it's no longer seen as the so-called good guy versus Donald Trump, or does it actually energise the base somewhat?
That was a fantastic observation by Annalise at the close of her report there from Washington. I think it does exactly that on the Democratic side. It shows just how desperate, to Democratic voters, it'll reveal to them how desperate Republicans are for any other issue to be on the agenda other than the return of Donald Trump, which is the best thing I think Joe Biden has going for him. So Republicans are absolutely keen to get something else on the table to be talking about. It will backfire. It will rev up the Democratic base. But at the same time, Tom, Hunter Biden, where there's smoke, maybe there's fire, right? The other news from last week was his indictment out of California. And that is some serious stuff. And I think after that, House Republicans had no choice but to follow through on what they've been threatening for a long time. And I think they got the go-ahead after those indictments of Hunter Biden out of California last week.
So that leads to, it's not as if, given where we're at now, the Democrats suddenly say, all right, we need another option to exercise, but they have to have a plan B, don't they? I mean, who's the proverbial, bus does a nasty thing, if I'll pose it that way. If that happens tomorrow, who's the contender if suddenly the Democratic nomination is open?
Well, I would say the vice president, probably, number one, but keep an eye on Gavin Newsom from California. Bear in mind, he debated Ron DeSantis in a off-ticket, off-Broadway event, not contesting the Democratic nomination by any stretch, Gavin Newsom, but there he was going toe-to-toe. And it was held up as a red state versus blue state governor v. governor event. But make no mistake what that was about. I think it was giving the tires a good old kick on Gavin Newsom going up against a potential contender for the Republican nomination. So yes, there are...
I mean, it feels like Kamala Harris might have been a clearer lead before she took the job, right? That's how her performance has been assessed, that she's less likely now, given some of the gaffes and just her inability, I think, to probably get enough of the base out and also... just be a strong enough performer. Is that fair to say?
Look, and let's cut to the chase, Tom. I think when the stakes are as high as they are, if you're a Democrat strategist, right, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about, I'm old enough to remember the 1983 election, where Bill Hayden probably was going to beat Malcolm Fraser, but the Labor hardheads knew that Bob Hawke definitely would beat Malcolm Fraser. And maybe that's the thinking about Kamala Harris. Do we go for the history books with a black woman at the top of the ticket, or do we just let's beat Donald Trump? And that's all that the election has to be about. And I think that's the way a lot of Democrats think about it. And I think that's what speaks to sort of the Newsom candidacy. Should it come to that, Tom? We're deep in hypothetical enter, of course.
Yeah.
I think he's seen as
that's where we like it here. That's where we like it, Simon. It's only ever a couple of things away from being reality. Hey, AUKUS got the tick. I think we were expecting this. Ukraine is a harder sell for Volodymyr Zelensky. How real is the struggle here? He's got to keep concern up. Is it budgetary or is it ideological? Must be what he's sort of wondering right now about trying to get this bill passed to get billions of dollars more for Ukraine.
Yeah, it's both that and it's facts on the ground, Tom. Here's the thing. Putin can outlast the West, particularly the burn at which the West collectively is going through munitions being routed to Ukraine, and Putin's capacity for his people to bear pain versus the West to sustain interest, and the huge budget numbers that attend to modern 21st century weaponry being produced and shipped off quick, smart, and being run down fast in Ukraine. The other thing is there's evidence that Russia is adapting, that some of this high-tech weaponry isn't as effective as it was in the opening months of this war when it was first on the ground. Yeah. And so for Putin, it's a waiting game, and hence in the West, and Joe Biden feels this intently, House Republicans never keen on this, taking cues from Donald Trump to begin with. There is a very generous spend towards Ukraine in the budget, defense budget that just passed, including the AUKUS spend. There's a lot in that. It's $900 billion US worth of spend. But it's a waiting game, and I think the longer this drags on, and this is the problem for Zelensky, can you count on Western public opinion and hence Western dollars and weaponry to be there, not just next year, but perhaps the year after that and the year after that and the year after that?
Yeah.
So that's the problem Zelensky faces right now, and it's hard to know because we're going to have this big event, as we were just talking about, the US presidential election.
Yeah, that could be a huge game changer either way. Simon Jackman, always appreciate your time. Thank you.